Why, hello, and welcome to the Washington Week Backstory. This week, I want to go back a little bit myself because this marks 15 years sitting in this chair at Washington Week. I don't know where the time went, but I tell you who was there at the very beginning. Among my first panelists that first night, Michael Duffy, Time Magazine, executive editor. We had worked together on and off for years covering various rogues and scandals in Washington, and now we're sitting around the table again tonight, and I can't think of anybody better to think back over these past 15 years. In my mind, I kind of divided before 9/11 and after 9/11, but I wonder how you plot it out.
Well, it was so last century.
It was 1999.
I really don't think there's any other answer than 9/11. I think it changed our government. I think it changed our foreign policy. I think it changed our politics. And I think it changed, to some extent, our business too, because it made us, I think, work harder and put us all, it's hard to remember now, made us make some choices that I think were sometimes not comfortable or easy ones, especially in the immediate aftermath of that attack. So 9/11 is by far for me the pivot, the big pivot, and nothing comes close in the last 15 years, and we can break it down, but that's the answer.
Well, let me suggest another big change for me anyway. It seems that when we first started down this path, and you and I have done Washington Week for longer than I've been host, we weren't so often stuck in this fight about partisanship. And partisanship has yielded government shutdowns, and it's yielded inaction in ways that have made Washington so incredibly enduringly unpopular, and that to me has also changed in the last 15 years.
1999 was the first year, I think, of the partisan era. It began, I think, deeply in the mid-90s with the arrival of Newt Gingrich, but really kicked off with impeachment in 1998, which finished at the beginning of 1999, and ever since then, followed by the election of 2000, which was a deeply partisan and divided moment, and the politics that briefly took a break after 9/11, but then we're right back, hammer and tong between the two sides. And I think part and parcel of partisanship is ineffectiveness of government. Our politics have brought our government in some ways to a halt. We've stopped doing big things. There hasn't been a major reform of an American law really since the mid-1990s. You have to go back to welfare reform.
Healthcare law, though.
Yeah, but no reform that took something away. Only reforms that added to people's benefits. Nothing that actually said, we're going to have to do without that, or we're going to have to give something up. There hasn't been an effort by both parties to jointly take something away from voters. They've given voters lots of things.
Except that you make an important point. It's the effort by both parties. Even the health care law was not an effort by both parties in the end.
It was one-sided. It was a one-party deal, as you remember. And they changed the rules in order to get it through. So that was kind of a hyper-partisan moment rather than a bipartisan one.
Which is interesting because we're kind of romantics in Washington, and we keep thinking this next big thing is going to be the thing where we all sing Kumbaya. And there was this moment in 2008 when we elected the first African-American president, where we talked about hope and the hopey-changey thing, as Sarah Palin called it, and it did feel as if this was an inflection point, and I don't think it was.
No, we have respites in the war. The 15 years has seen momentary lulls, and some of them are lulls that are inspiring and historic, and Obama's election was certainly one of that. But Obama's re-election was not a kumbaya, happy, bipartisan moment, and a lot of it was closer. It had none of that quality, and since I think his second term has been underway, they've been fewer and far between. So I think you're right. I think the partisanship has endured throughout this period. I think it's been a particularly ineffective time for Washington, and that partisanship, anyone watching this now knows that kind of partisanship is now infected into the states, and it's begun to affect state legislatures as well. And you almost have to go to the municipal level to find governments where both parties still often on a regular basis work together, and that's a deepening kind of problem with our country and our politics that I don't know anyone who knows the answer to that.
Well, let me ask you this. You're a journalist and a historian as well. I wonder if you're more optimistic than you were in 1999 or less optimistic about the course that we are on as a people, as a government, as observers of the passing scene.
I think we're on I'm not sure that I'm more optimistic. I think there are some pathways that we're on a bunch of different ones that have some reasons, give us reasons for hope. I think the country is becoming more tolerant in some ways, certainly about gender and gender roles, certainly about same-sex marriage. Time magazine put a transgendered person on the cover. It would have been inconceivable in 1999. So that pathway is a reason for hope. I think there are reasons to be optimistic about aspects of the American economy that remain strong, and particularly in the tech area. But I think those are strong or strengthening, not because of Washington's help, but because Washington is not doing anything.
And somebody else is stepping in the field.
And so, right. And so that's an interesting sort of mogul-led revolution that gives a lot of people cause for hope. At least some people are moving forward here. But it's not in politics, and it's not in Washington.
Well, unfortunately, it still demands explanation, and that's why Washington Week, we hope, will be here for another 15 years. Michael, thank you for being with me on the ride for the first 15.
Thank you.